Good day, CJ. Let's get the hat off. Okay. Well, as you can see, I have the jacket on. It's refrigerator temperature here, again in Florida, and it's 45, which is a good temperature for a refrigerator, for those who didn't know, or between 40 and 45. In any case, welcome. I wanted to get started a little bit early, just because I've been out here for a while. The sun was up, it's beautiful, I slept good, so here we are. I was well, let's get started with morning prayers, and then I will do a little commentary, and then I will continue on the three ages of the interior life, so that anybody coming in later because of my starting early, they don't miss anything. And I love that saying, howdy y'all. Howdy y'all. Okay, let's grab the booklet. And the glasses, the booklet and the glasses. Okay. And we lost a subscriber yesterday. I don't know what I said, but it's got to be that tough thing about the Trinitarian Theophany. That Protestant indoctrination. Okay. In nomine Dei, matronam nostri, et emisum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Let us place ourselves in the presence of God and in Catholic contemplation humbly adore the Trinitarian Theophany. Most holy and venerable Trinity, one God and three divine beings, I believe that thou art here present. I venerate thee with the deepest humility. I render to thee with my whole heart the homage which is due to thee. And this beginning prayer is usually where I do a little contemplation. And for those who don't know, I did post my first ever attempt at a public contemplation, an example of one that I do. And I hope you will check it out and give me some suggestions for improvement, and maybe I can get another one in before we leave. But thank you for asking and receiving. So let us take a moment now and contemplate the Trinitarian Theophany and its importance in your life. I'm going to sit down here for a second. I guess I can continue from here. Just move. There we go. Didn't really help. Okay, I have my chasuble hanging right here. One thing I wanted to mention with regards to the contemplation is there is the physical aspect and the chemical aspect of what's happening, and that breathing is important because it helps prepare the mind to receive the peace and the spark of God, if you will, and the infusing. And there's other quote-unquote religions that utilize this method. So this is why it's important that we always protect ourselves with the Trinitarian Theophany, and especially Dei matronam nostri, before we begin one. The other aspect I wanted to make sure that people understand is when you get into deeper contemplation and meditation, there is that risk of the demonic, and that's why we do the practice. Now, the protection. The other quote-unquote religions, they don't do that, obviously, because they're not seeking the highest, which is the Trinitarian Theophany. They are seeking what can be gotten for themselves through this. And don't kid yourself, this you can, through these practices, you can receive a spirit, a demonic spirit, that will give you your wishes. So that's why you have to be very rooted and grounded in Catholic virtues in order to do these things. So you see all these, for example, yoga and Buddhism, they practice this meditation. Now, again, what I want to point out is that theirs is unprotected, and generally speaking, they will always receive a demonic entity of some portion, especially if they're not baptized Catholic, and especially if they're seeking self above, other things. So that's why it's like a good thing was and always is corrupted by an evil thing. It doesn't make the good thing bad. Okay, it means that there's certain ways and practices in order to do it. So I wanted to make sure that was clarified, so that people can understand that. It's just, it's just like the internet, okay? It can be used for good or it can be used for bad. Same with television, same with newspapers. It is a type of a form of communication. The only difference is who you're communicating with. Okay, so let's take a moment again and contemplate the Trinitarian Theophany. Breathing brings new blood into the brain near the pineal gland. Which secretes hormones in order to suspend different states of the body and allow the mind to calm and become open. O God, relying on thine infinite goodness and promises, I hope to obtain the pardon of my sins, the help of thy grace, and life everlasting, through the merits of Deum Iesum Christum et de Deum Matronam Nostrae. O God, I love thee above all things with my whole heart and soul, because thou art all good and worthy of all love. I love my neighbor as myself for love of thee, and I forgive all who have injured me, and ask pardon of all whom I have injured. Let us thank God for the many graces that we receive and offer ourselves and our sufferings up to the Trinitarian Theophany. O God, I most humbly thank thee for all the favors thou hast bestowed upon me to the present moment. It is again thanks to thy bounty that I should live to see this day, and I desire to employ it solely in thy service. I consecrate to thee all my thoughts, words, actions, and sufferings of this day. Sanctify them, O God, that there may be none that is not animated by thy love or that would not tend to thy greater glory. Let us make a firm resolution to avoid evil and to do good, and let us beg of God the graces which are necessary to us. O God, thou knowest my weakness, and that I am unable to do anything good without the help of thy grace. Deny me not thy grace, O God, proportionate to my necessities. Give me strength to avoid everything which thou forbiddest, to practice the good which thou hast commanded, and enable me patiently to bear all the trials which it may please thee to send me. O God, Our Lady, O Holy Mother of God, I place myself under thy protection. I throw myself with confidence into the arms of thy compassion. Be to me, O Mother of Mercy, my refuge in distress, my consolation in suffering, now and at the hour of my death. O my God, I am heartily sorry for having offended thee, and I detest all my sins, because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell. But most of all because I have offended thee, my God, who are good and deserving of all my love. I firmly resolve, with the help of thy grace, to confess my sins, to do penance, and to amend my life. Just going to grab a drink of water before I begin. Okay, chapter 51, Arid Mystical Union and Ecstatic Union according to Saint Teresa. When we spoke of the degrees of contemplative prayer in proficience, taking Saint Teresa as our guide, we described arid quiet, next sweet quiet, in which the will alone is captivated by God, and lastly, the prayer of simple union, in which not only the will is seized by God, but also the understanding and the memory, and in which the imagination is as if asleep, because all the activity of the soul takes place in its higher part. There is even at times a beginning of ecstasy, or an initial suspension of the exercise of the exterior senses. Following what Saint Teresa wrote in the Sixth Mansion, we shall now discuss arid and painful union, which corresponds to the night of the spiritum, or soul, then ecstatic union, or the spiritual betrothal, and lastly, in the following chapter, the transforming union, or spiritual marriage. Arid and painful mystical union. Saint Teresa speaks of this union at the beginning of the Sixth Mansion, but she describes especially its concomitant outward phenomena. Saint John of the Cross, on the other hand, shows more the intimate nature of this state under the name of the night of the spiritum, or soul, or the passive purification of the spiritum, or soul, as we saw at the beginning of the fourth part of this work. God makes the soul desire the immense good which God is preparing for it, and God causes it to pass through a terrible crucible, of which Saint Teresa writes, quote, "An outcry is raised against such a person by those amongst whom she lives. They say she wants to pass for a saint, that she goes to extremes in piety. Persons she thought were her friends desert her, making the most bitter remarks of all. They make 1,000 scoffing remarks. The worst of it is, these troubles do not blow over, but last all her life. Yet, oh, the rest would seem trifling in comparison could I relate the interior torments met with here, but they are impossible to describe. Let us first speak of the trial of meeting with so timorous and inexperienced a confessor that nothing seems safe to him. The poor soul, beset by the same fears, seeks its confessor as a judge, and feels a torture and dismay at his condemnation that can only be realized by those who have experienced it themselves. For one of the severe trials of these souls, especially if they have lived wicked lives, is their belief that God permits them to be deceived in punishment for their sins. While actually receiving these graces, they feel secure and cannot but suppose that these favors proceed from the Spiritum of God. But this state lasts a very short time, while the remembrance of their misdeeds is ever before them, so that when, as is sure to happen, they discover any faults in themselves, these torturing thoughts return. The soul is quieted for a time when the confessor reassures it, although it returns later on to its former apprehensions. But when he augments its fears, they become almost unbearable. Especially is this the case when such spiritual dryness ensues that the mind feels as if it never had thought of God, nor ever will be able to do so. When men speak of God, they seem to be talking of some person heard of long ago. Her understanding being too obscure to discern the truth, she believes all that the imagination, which now has the upper hand, puts before her mind, besides crediting the falsehood suggested to her by the devil, whom doubtless Dame Jesum Christum gives leave to tempt her. The evil spirit even tries to make her think God has rejected her. No comfort can be found in this tempest of trouble. There is no other remedy in such a tempest except to wait for the mercy of God, who unexpectedly, by some casual word or unforeseen circumstance, suddenly dispels all these sorrows. Then every cloud of trouble disappears, and the mind is left full of light and far happier than before. It praises the Trinitarian Theophany like one who has come out victorious from a dangerous battle. For it is God who won the victory. The soul is fully conscious that the conquest was not its own. Thus it realizes its weakness and how little man can help himself if God forsake him. The truth now needs no demonstration." Unquote. The soul then understands far better Deum Jesum Christum's words, quote, "Without me you can do nothing," unquote, in the order of salvation. And it is led more and more to admit, with St. Augustine and St. Thomas, that grace is efficacious of itself, that it excites our effort instead of being rendered efficacious by it. What conduct should be observed in this trial? St. Teresa tells us in the same chapter, quote, "Their comfort must come from above. Nothing earthly can help them. This great God wishes us to acknowledge his sovereignty and our own misery. The best remedy for these crosses is to perform external works of charity and to trust in the mercy of God, which never fails those who hope in God. The devils also bring about exterior trials which, being more unusual, need not be mentioned. They are far less painful, for whatever the demons may do, I believe they never succeed in paralyzing the faculties or disturbing the soul in the former manner. In fact, the reason is able to discern that the evil spirits can do no more harm than God permits. And while the mind has not lost its powers, all sufferings are comparatively insignificant." Unquote. Farther on, St. Teresa speaks of a still more painful purification of love, which occurs at the entrance to the seventh mansion. Quote, as the purification of purgatory introduces the soul into heaven." Unquote. But the soul is conscious, while enduring this suffering, that is an eminent favor. After the exterior sufferings described at the beginning of the sixth mansion, in which there is a painful presence of God, the soul receives such knowledge of the divine majesty that frequently partial or complete ecstasy follows. We're going to stop there and talk tomorrow about the ecstatic union, its manifestation, and nature. we traversed quite a ways to get to that point here where we're at. Went through all of that to get here, and it's exciting, and it's doable. All right, just practice. All right, I see the sun has come out for me. Deum gratias, and let's begin Mass. For us, the sun has come out for us. Deum vobiscum, quoque apote. Oremus. O God, the Creator and Redeemer of all the faithful, grant to the souls of thy servants and handmaids the remission of all their sins, that they may obtain by loving prayers the forgiveness which they have always desired, who livest and reignest with thee, one God, forever and ever. Suscipe Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum hanc immaculatam hostiam, quam ego indi nous famalus tuus offeritibi Deum eum vivum et verum, pro inumere veribus peccatis et offensionibus et negligentis meis, et promnibus circumstantibus, et promnibus fidelibus catalocorum, vivis aquae defunctis ut mihi et idis proficietat salutem. Deum qui humanae substantiae dignitatem mirabilitu condidis et mirabilius reformaster da nobis peruhus acor venimis Deum eus divinitatis esse consortis qui humanitatis nostrae, fiat dignatis es partaceps Deum Iesum Christum Filium, qui tecum vivet et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Offerimus tibi Deum calicem salutaris tuam de peccantis clementiam, ut in conspecto divini majestatis tuae pro nostra et odius mundi salute cum adoris suavitatis ascendat. In spiritu humilitatis et in animo contrito suscipiam rate Deum Iesum Christum et fiat sacrificium nostrum ec spiritu hodie, ut placeat tibi Deum matronam nostrae Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Bene sanctificator Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, et sanctificate oblata prosequendo et accepere hoc sacrificium tuo sancto nomini preparatum. Suscipe Sancta Trinitas hanc oblationem quam tibi efferimus a memoriam passionis, resurrectionis et ascensionis Deum Iesum Christum. Et in honoram Dei matronam nostrae, et a Papa Pater Sanctorum et Istorum et omnium Sanctorum, ut idis proficiat ad honorem nobis autem et salutem, et idi pro nobis intercedere in inter celis, corum homo imagimus in telis, per Ierum Christum Deum nostrum. Orate, ut meam ac vestrum sacrificium acceptabile fiat apud Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Suscipiat Deum Iesum Christum sacrificium de manibus tuis, ad laudem et gloriam nominis sui, ad utilitatem quoque nostram totiusque ecclesiae suae sanctae. Deum vobiscum, quoque apate, surusum corda habemus ad Deum, gratias agamus Deum nostrum, dignum et justum est. Te igito clementissimi mater et pater, Deum matronam nostrae, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per Deum Iesum Christum Filium Tuum, Deum nostrae, supplices rogamus hoc petimus, ut acceptabe esse benedicas ex sanctam sacrificium irribata. In primisque tibi efferimus pro ecclesiam Tuum Sanctam Catholicam, quam pacificare, custodire ad honore, et reggere dignitas toto obre terrarum atque Catholicae, Memento Deum famolorum catuorum. We pray for the sick and the suffering. We pray for Father Finch and Father Warren, Katie Gage, Robert Charles Dosco, Irene Dosco, Neil and Earl Lively, Maria Josephina Mose, Henry and Barbara and Benedict Santa Croce, Alex Tafur, Casey, Mark Jr., Ann Bultink, John Cahill, Marie and Lineweber, the Cantu and Duarte families, Jenna, Lena, Lori, Aaron and family, the Lineweber, Dosco, Nye, Tafur, Began, and Wolf families, and Baby Beacon. We pray for Mr. Nobody to receive the funding and strength needed to complete the first Sede Vacantes Catholic Council office in Monastery of Illinois. We pray for an end to all governmental allowance or sanctioning of abortion, transgenderism, transhumanism, child abuse, child trafficking, any kind of ritual sexual abuse of any kind, anywhere, place, or time. We pray for the establishment of a Catholic monarchy with a sound Catholic system of labor, human value, and medium of exchange. That once this system is set up, Jews will not be allowed to hold any sort of positions, especially monetary. We pray for courageous men to step forward as leaders of this Catholic society. We ask for a reversal of the feminist ideology and a return to godly femininity, and that women come to understand the raising of traditional Catholic families is a high ideal and a necessity for sustaining a Catholic society. We ask that all pornography and the OnlyFans platform be stopped immediately and forever. We ask for wisdom on how to raise healthy, natural animals and untainted crops for vegetables and fruits without poisons, and healthy for us to eat and share with our neighbors in abundance. We pray that people become wise to the plan, again, with regards to false lies and deceit in the medical industry. We ask for the conversion of all sinners trapped in a state of mortal sin, especially the ignorant. And we ask that all harmful radiation waves be stopped, and that we close all portals, gateways, CERN, and AI. We ask also, with this Mass, please destroy the Church of Rome that has lost its authority and is run by Jews and Freemasons. We also ask you, God, to wake up the Catholics that still follow the authority of the Vatican and to restore the lost faith of Vatican II Catholics, and that we may assist in that endeavor. We also pray for Emily, that she might come to understand the importance of the Trinitarian Theophany. All these things we ask in accordance with God's holy and divine will. Et omnium circumstantium quorum tibi fides cognita est et noto devotio, pro quibus tibia ferimus, veruque tibia frontox sacrificium laudis, pro sesuisque omnibus, pro redemptione animarum suarum, pro spe salutis et secula habitatis suae, tibique redum vota sua aeterna Deum vivo et vero. Communicantes et memonem venerantes in primis, gloriose semper Dei matrona, et beatorum martyrium tuorum, Papae Sancte Petri, et Sancte Lucia, et Sancte Jacinta, et Sancte Francisco, et Sancte Juan Diego, et omnium sanctorum tuorum quorum meritis praecibusque concedas, ut in omnibus protectiones tuae muniam auxilio periendum Christum Deum nostrum, quam oblationem de Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum in omnibum consecratum acceptabilemque fecedi dignitis ut nobis corpum et sanguinem fidelissimi Filium tuum Deum Iesum Christum, qui pridie quam pateretor recepet panem in sancta sacramentis manus suas, et derivatis oculis in caelum ante Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum suum omnipotentem tibi gratias agens, consecravit, frege dedique lumnis sui dicenza, cipite et mandacate ex hoc omnes. Hoc est enim corpus meum. Simili modo postquam ceremonias accipienserum preclarum calicem in sancta sacramentablis manus suas item tibi gratias agens, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, consecravit, dedique alumnis sui dicenza cipite et bibite exe omnes. Hic est enim calix sanguinis mei, mysterium fidei, quae pro nobis et pro multis effundetur in remissionem peccatorum, et quatescum preficeditis in mei monam facietis. Unde et memores Deum nos servitui, sed plebs tua sancta iustum Christum filium tuum, Deum nostre, tam beate passiones, nec non et ab inferis resurrectionis, sed et in celos gloriose ascensionis, offerimus preclare majestatitudi tuis donis actatis, supraque popizzo ac sereno vulture specieri digneris. Supplices teragamus, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, iube hic preferibam manus tuum, ut quod, ex hoc altaris participationis sacrosanctum Deum Filium tuum, corpus et sanguinem senimus, omni benedictione celestia gratia Dei per amor, per inum Christum Deum nostre. We pray for those who have died. We especially pray for Dorothy Lofquist, for whom this Mass is being offered. Ipsis Deum et omnibus in Christum crescentibum, locum refugiri lucis et pacis, ut onda gesta proclamor per inum Christum Deum nostrum. Per quem hic omnia Deum Iesum Christum semper bona creas, sanctificas, vivificas, benedictis et prestas nobis. Per ipsum et cum ipso et in ipso, est tibi Deum Matrum omnipotente in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, omnis honor et gloria. Ave Dea matronam nostrae, gratia plena Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum tecum. Dea matronam nostrae, materam Deum Iesum Christum, misericordia nobis, peccatoribus nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Libera nos, quesumus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, ab omnibus malis, praeteritis, presentibus et futuris, et intercedente beate, gloriosa, semper Dea matronam nostrae, cum Papa Petrum Sanctorum nostris, ut opi misericordiae Tuae, aduiti et peccato, simus semper liberi et ab omni perturbatione securi. Per eundum Deum nostrum, Iesum Christum Filium Tuum Deum nostrum, qui tecum vivit et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per aeternam. Pax Deum Iesum Christum sit semper vobiscum, et quoque apud te. Ecum extua consecratio corporis et sanguinis Deum Iesum Christum, fiat accipientibus nobis in ad salutem aeternam. Pax tecum, et quoque apud te. Deum Iesum Christum, qui ex voluntate Deum matronam nostrae, quaperante Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per mortem tuam unum vivificasti. Libera me per hoc sacro sanctum corpus et sanguinum tuum abundibus iniquitatibus meis, et universis males, et fac me tui semper inharare mandatis, et nunquam separare permittas, qui cum eodem Deum matronam nostrae, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum vivis arenam aeternam. Perceptio corporis tue, Deum Iesum Christum, quod ego indinius sumere presumo non mihi proveniat in judicium et condemnationem, sed pro tue petitate prosit mihi et tutum medese corporis, et ad me delam percipiendam, qui vivis arenas, cum Deum matronam nostrae in unitate, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Panem Celestium, percipiam nomen Deum Iesum Christum invocabo. Deum matronam nostrae non sunt dignus, utitus utetum meus, in tanto verba semper anima mea. Deum Iesum Christum non sunt dignus, utitus utetum meus, in tanto verba semper anima mea. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum non sunt dignus, utitus utetum meus, in tanto verba semper anima mea. Corpus Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima meam. Quid retribum Deum Iesum Christum pro omnibus quaeritud mihi, calecium salutaris accipiem et nomen Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum invocabo. Laudans invocabo nom Deum matronam nostrae et ab inimicis meis salvus ero. Sanguis Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima meam. Quod ore subsumus Deum Iesum Christum piedamente capiamus etiam unine temperae fit nobis remedium sempiternum. Corpus tuum Deum Iesum Christum, quod sanguis competave eribus meis e presta, ut in me non remeniat caela la macula, quem purat sancta reficerat sacramenta. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apud te. Oremus. May the prayer of thy suppliants profit the souls of thy servants and handmaids. We beseech thee, O God, that thou mayest free them from all sins and make them sharers in thy redemption, who livest and reignest with thee, one God, forever and ever. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apud te. Ite mises, Deum gratia. Placeat tibi sancta Trinitam obsequium, suffitutis mea preso ut sacrificium, cor oculis tui majestatis in unus obturi tibi sertat tabrem quiet omnibus, pro quibus idut obtolicite miserante propitiabile per Christum Deum nostrum. Sanctificat vos omnipotens Deum, Matronam et Filium et Spiritum Sanctum. Deum Matronam nostrum et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. O God, I believe, I venerate, I hope, and I love thee. I beg of thee pardon for those who do not believe, do not venerate, do not hope, and do not love thee. Most holy Trinitarian Theophany, I venerate thee profoundly, and I offer to thee the most precious body, blood, soul, and divinity of God Jesus Christ, who was, is, and ever shall be, present here in reparation for the outrages, sacrileges, and indifference by which he himself is offended. And through the infinite merits of his most sacred heart and the immaculate heart of God, Our Lady, who was, is, and ever shall be, I beg of thee the conversion of poor sinners. In nomine Deum matronam nostre, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. That concludes today's Mass and instruction, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please share the video if you can, and do all that sort of thing. Like it, and yada, yada, yada. We want to get more people who are seeking to find it, and then we can send them over to get more information about why this is working. And again, welcome Melanie, and I know she's been at it for a year, and she just opened up and shared some really, really interesting stories, again, on the Ask the Bishop page. All right, I'm going to get out of the refrigerator. It's warming up a little bit quicker than it did, a couple weeks ago. Which is, I'm thankful for that, and hopefully it won't be as cool tomorrow morning. But we will see you tomorrow morning. Please go and sanctify all those who you meet today.